Hey guys, welcome back to Barry's Corner. It's Emily here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys all the books that I read in January. So first off, before I start this video, if you watch my February TBR and I'm wearing the same thing, just ignore that. I would make the optical illusion and like change my outfit, but my makeup matches my outfit and I kind of like that. So we're just gonna ignore that I'm filming this on the same day. But in January, I read 9 books and I actually liked most of the books that I read. So I'm very, very excited to share them with you. But before we begin this video, please like this video, subscribe, comment, do all of the things. All of my social links are down in the description box below, as well as my Amazon wishlist. Oh my gosh. If you would like to give me a book. Okay, now let's get on into the video. So the first 2 books that I'm going to mention, I don't have them physically with me. One I read on audiobook and the other one I read on ebook. And the ebook that I read was Go Deep by Riley Adams. This is an adult romance novel about a girl named Navia, or Navi, which is her nickname, and she's an adult author as well. However, in her past couple of books, all of her feedback has been pretty negative, saying that her books have gone stale and there's not enough steam in it, and just it's basically garbage. Like literally it was calling the book crap. And so she's freaking out because ever since she broke up with her boyfriend, or her long-term boyfriend of 8 years, she just hasn't had any game, she hasn't had any romance, and her books have sucked in that department. Oh my gosh. So her girl best friend was like, hey, what about your guy best friend Xander, who you've known since forever? Like, y'all have such a good relationship. If you guys have a friends with benefits type thing, it won't ruin anything at all. And of course, because this is an adult romance, that was false. So her and Xander have this best friends with benefits type thing, and then of course a romance ensues. So what I didn't realize when reading this book was how short it was. I was flying through the pages and I was like, is this PDF like half the book? Because I was like flying through a chapter like a minute, and then I realized this book was only 130 pages long. I saw this book on somebody's, I don't remember whose, favorite romance books of 2020. And when I saw the synopsis, I was like, okay, this is something that I think I would really enjoy. So I read it in like a day, literally a couple of hours, and I really did enjoy it. It's everything that it said it would be. It was quick, it was fun, it was steamy. It gave me everything I wanted in that moment. There was some things that they tried to do, like develop a plot, and no, it was 130 pages. Do not try to develop a plot when it's only 130 pages. There was like a side plot of like her friend and her having trouble with her romance. I was like, girl, nobody cares about you. It was not developed at all. In the end, I gave it a 3.5 stars. It was good. It gave me everything that I wanted and I needed. Their romance and their relationship in general was really cute. So overall, if you want to read it, it's worth the read. It's very quick. So don't try to read this for like a plot. Don't try to compare it to Get a Life Chloe Brown, because it's nothing like that. It is literally just for entertainment purposes and just being a really, really quick pick me up. So that was the first book I read. Now on to the second. I can't talk today or like ever, but I'm in a good mood and that's all that counts. So the next book that I read that I don't own physically is a YA romance called 10 Blind Dates by Ashley something. I should have prepared, but if you really want to read this book, search up 10 Blind Dates by Ashley something. It will pop up. This book, I loved it. It was so good. Just reading adult romance recently, it was so refreshing to take a step back and read YA romance, because there's no like actual like steamy scenes, and it's just a slow burn romance because the teenagers trying to figure out their own mind and their own self and like what they want to do. It was good. It was so refreshing. It was perfect for what I wanted at the time. And in this book, the main character and her boyfriend of like a year broke up, and so she went to her grandmother's house with her aunts and uncles and her cousins, and they're like, hey, we're gonna cheer you up and set you up on 10 blind dates around the Christmas season leading up to New Year's Eve. I don't know why I keep saying Christmas Eve. It was good. It was good. The dates were very weird, awkward, and just entertaining. Not every date was cute. Some was like, okay, that was really weird. But it was entertaining, and that is what I signed up for. I loved the slow burn romance in this book. At first, I was like, okay, I know it's gonna be that guy, but like I don't see the chemistry. But then once you go in, it is just perfect. It was just so good. Aside from that, I really loved the family dynamic in this book. At first, I was like, okay, look, my Hispanic family, I do not introduce anybody to them unless it's like serious. So my family setting me up on 10 blind dates, that would never happen. But after I got over that, I was like, you know what? It's cute. It's a story. Like, let me just deal with it. I thought it was really cool. Like her not seeing her cousins in a while and them bonding over different things and like them helping her on her dates was so freaking cute. And how she was very close to her sister, that meant a lot to me. Me and my brother used to be super duper close and now we're not as much. But I really value seeing that in a story, as well as talking about her sister's complicated pregnancy, because not all pregnancies is sunshine and rainbows, and it was really cool to see that in a story. The one thing I didn't fully like, because I loved the writing and I love the story, at the end, she ended up with the guy that she ended up with, you know. But like at the end, she was like, oh, but we don't have labels on it. I was like, girl, shut up. You wanted to get a boyfriend and now you don't. What? It was just kind of sketch to me. So in the end, I gave it a 4.5 stars. It was a good book. I liked it. And I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, next book. Now going back in order, the first book that I read in January was Uglies by Scott Westerfeld, and then I read Pretties, which is the second book in the series, right after it. And I have a lot of feelings on this series, but first, let me tell you what it's about. This follows a girl named Tally Youngblood, and she lives in a utopian world where you are separated between being pretty and ugly. You are ugly until your 16th birthday, when you undergo plastic surgery to become, like everybody else, pretty inside and out. So her best friend, 2 weeks before she has to turn pretty, leaves her to be pretty, duh. And she meets a new girl named Shay. Shay is kind of iffy about turning pretty, and she decides to run away. She asks Tally to come with her, but Tally's like, girl, I've been waiting to turn pretty all my life. Of course I'm not going with you. So then Shay runs away, Tally goes on with her life, and the day of her 16th birthday, they're like, hey, we're not gonna turn you pretty until you go after Shay and find her. So she goes on this little adventure, and it was very underwhelming. Just underwhelming. First of all, this whole adventure that she goes on, like, if somebody else in another fantasy book goes on an adventure, they're usually with somebody else. So all we got was her inside her brain. Like, she had no banter or talk with anybody for half of the book. And then she goes to the camp, and we're expected to like these people and see their connection, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And then I go on to the second book. Oh, I gave this 3 stars, by the way. I go on to the second book, also gave this book 3 stars, and it's like they want me to care for all these characters without giving me anything, and I just did not like it. It wasn't good. I started the third book in the series, Specials, and that is not on the list because I never finished it. I got exactly halfway through and I was like, why is this series still continuing? Why is there another book after Specials called Extras? Like, why is this a 4-book series? Like, who let Scott Westerfeld do that? I don't know. This is becoming I believe, a movie? It might be a series, but it's with Joey King and the girl from The Kissing Booth. And I was really excited, and that's why I wanted to read these books, but just, who let him write this? I don't know. Okay, just on to the next book. The next book that I read was 99 Days by Katie Cotigno. I bought this at Barnes & Noble's with their monthly deal that they have, that if you buy something at Starbucks, you can get the selected book of the month for $5. I think this was November 2020's pick, but I bought it because I loved the synopsis. This book is about a girl, and a year ago, she broke her boyfriend's heart by getting with his brother, Gabe. And so a year later, she's back in town, and for a whole summer, she's gonna be surrounded by these 2 boys. I was pretty much expecting for this book to be a fluffy YA romance with a brother love triangle, and boy was I completely wrong. It is a YA romance. It does have a brother love triangle, but it is extremely hard-hitting. Just in the first couple of chapters, we see that she's at odds with her mother because the reason the whole town hates her and the reason her boyfriend even found out about the whole scenario was because her mother wrote a book about her daughter's experience and then wrote an article about how it was based off of her daughter. And just everything went into chaos since then. She's at odds with her best friend, and then she comes back in town, and her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, not the brother, the ex-boyfriend, has a new girlfriend, and then the brother of her ex-boyfriend is like super interested in her again. It's crazy. But this book, I really resonated with the main character because she undergoes an extreme amount of harassment and bullying. I don't resonate with her because of cheating. I've never cheated on anybody, but I did get with somebody my freshman year of high school, and I was slut shamed just like she was, and the harassment is very, very bad in this book. The way she coped with it was, I resonated with that so much because she would gloss over it and make it feel like everything was her fault, and it completely wasn't. Yes, some of it is her fault, but not all of it, and that was one main part of the book. What the author wanted to get through was, one mistake doesn't define your whole life. It doesn't define you. And just because you were one part of this puzzle doesn't mean it's all on you. It's also the guy's fault. So one big thing in this book that a lot of people don't like about is the cheating. And it's not Anna and the French Kiss cheating. It isn't like you can gloss over it. It's pretty bad cheating, and I'm not gonna make up anything, any excuses for this book, but I do realize that the author, that was the point of this book, to be raw, real, and authentic, and I can truly say that I really connected with how the main character was feeling. The boys in this book, pretty freaking manipulative. Like, dude, yes, she gets all this crap for doing what she did, and yes, she should be held accountable, but like, the boys got none of it, and I felt that too. Like, I felt that so hard being in a relationship with somebody, or not even a relationship, but just being like slut shamed and just called so many names and the boys getting nothing. Like, calm the heck down. I really love the thematic statements of one place doesn't define you, and it's not, one place isn't your whole world, and one mistake or one guy, one anything does not define you, who you are and how you've changed. I, in the end, gave this a 4 stars. I know that was not a word. I know a lot of people won't like this book because of the cheating element, because it's very, very, very prevalent in this book. But I don't know. I had that connection with the character, and you probably won't. But keep in mind, try to walk in her shoes. If you want to pick it up, I think it's worth the read. I don't know. It kind of messed with my head a little bit, so don't read it. I don't. Next book. The next book I read was Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, and this book was definitely cute. In this book, we follow 2 perspectives, Pepper and Jack, and yes, their ship name is Pepper Jack. It is the cutest freaking thing, especially since they're feuding over a stolen grilled cheese recipe. Emma Lord really did right by that ship name. In this book, Pepper, her family owns a very popular fast food burger joint like Burger King, and they are accused of stealing Jack's family's local sub shops. Gosh, that is hard to say, their grilled cheese recipe. This book was everything. They start a Twitter feud, and Jack and Pepper are on both ends of those. And then Jack has an anonymous app that is only shared within the people of his school, and they are chatting with each other, and they don't know. There are so many levels to this book, because aside from that, they are becoming friends in real life, and it's just everything. It's everything that you want and more. There are so many levels with the family dynamic, with her sister and her mom and her dad, with the divorce, and then Jack's family, with Jack having a twin brother and feeling like he's the least favorite of the family. It's just so many different aspects and levels, as I keep saying, that were perfected. Like, nothing was left undone and unsaid. The romance was so cute. I loved it so much. In the end, I was so satisfied. I was satisfied with the ending, but I just wanted more. I just wanted more of them. I would literally pay for another sequel of just them going on dates. Like, why? Don't know, because they're so freaking cute. Again, YA romance, stepping away from adult romance, is so refreshing because they're little teenagers and they're trying to figure out their own mind and then figure out a mind of somebody else. It's just so cute and awkward, and I love it. So in the end, I gave this book a 5 stars, and if you have not read this book, please do. I saw this book on somebody's favorite books of 2020, and it was the only YA on their list, and it was a YA romance. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Just read it. The next book I read was One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This follows a girl named Bea Schumacher, and she's a plus-size fashion blogger. But one day she's watching her bachelor/bachelorette type show called Main Squeeze, and she realizes that there is no diversity, so she goes and blogs about it, and they ask her to become the next bachelorette or Main Squeeze. She says yes. She's like, hey, this will advance my career, but she vows to not fall in love on the show because there's like a person back home or like somebody that did her dirty and whatever. Of course, this is a romance novel, and she falls in love. But the thing about this is I think this book was extremely overhyped. Like, when I wanted to read this, I was so excited, and then when I started, I was like, yeah, this is not it. Like, it was okay. I gave this book a 3 stars. It was fine. The beginning is where I had the most problems. It was just annoying. Like, the main character Bea in the beginning, annoying. Like, nobody was forcing you to be there, but she was complaining the whole time, and I was like, Bea, get it together, honey. Like, shut up. Like, I did not like her. And then the first group date, the first thing that we saw was really annoying because I totally understand this whole book was talking about like body positivity and people just don't accept you when you're plus size, and I totally understand that. But in this group date, it was like one person hating her after the other, and it was just to the point where it was unrealistic. Like, literally they called her a whale to her face, and I was like, okay. And like, I totally understand people do that in real life, but just one person after the other after the other after the other. And I was like, that's a little bit unrealistic. So after that, after we got over that first group date, I was like, okay, this is getting better. However, this Main Squeeze is literally a bootleg Bachelor. Like, it's The Bachelor, but worse. Like, instead of a rose ceremony, it's a kiss ceremony where she kisses them on the cheek. And I'm like, no, that's not it. That's gross. Don't do that. No. The one thing I did like about this book was the diversity, not just plus size diversity, racial diversity as well. There's some African Americans, Hispanic, Asians. And then aside from that, one of the contestants, their son, was a cross-dresser, liked dressing as a girl, and then also liked wearing makeup, but he went by he, him pronouns at a young age. So that was really good diversity, as well as a guy that represented or said that he was asexual and found that out on the show. I love that diversity. I really like that representation. It was really, really cool, and I loved their friendship as well. In the end, I gave this, again, 3 stars, like I said. I mean, it was worth the read, and I do think I'll read this again just years and years and years from now when I forgot basically everything that happened, and then I'll be surprised again and give it another 3 stars. So the second to last book that I read was Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This follows a girl named Amira. She's African American, and she babysits for a white family. And one day that family has an emergency, and they ask her to take their child to a grocery store. But at that grocery store, she is accused of kidnapping this child. After that, it really follows the blind or ignorance of white people and their privilege and just how they separate themselves from Black people, because being overtly racist is not the only way to be racist. This book, somebody commented on one of my videos, I'm so sorry, I forgot who, but they were like, this wasn't one of my favorites, but it still makes me think about it to this day. And I 100% agree with that. This book gives me a new perspective that I think everybody needs to have. I definitely think this is an important read, but it's not one of my favorites. I buddy read this with my uncle and my aunt, and I think this was a perfect first buddy read to have with them. I really wanted to see what my aunt thought about this book because she's African American herself, and I really, really loved her input. One thing that I did not like about this book was the third person narrative. I don't know, like, the writing was fine. I wouldn't want to say that it's the writing, but like halfway through to 2/3 of the way through, we were still getting like backstory on the characters, and I understand that the author wasn't trying to be info dumpy, but she kind of ended up doing that. Like we would have 5 to 7 pages of explaining why they're doing something because of their freaking past. I was like, look, I get it, but can you explain it in a little bit shorter, please? Like 10 pages later, we're still on this one action, and I'm like, hey, I want to get to the actual plot of the book. I did like the perspectives that were gained from this book, talking about fetishizing Black people and then also separating yourselves from Black people, and you can still be kind and do that. Like, we got 2 perspectives in this book, Alex the mother and Amira the babysitter, and Alex was very, very kind and wanted to be Amira's friend. However, she would try to stoop down to her level to relate to her in some way, and just that in and of itself is racist because you're not seeing her as an equal. And I really, really liked the perspective, again, gained. I know I'm saying that word a lot. But other than that, I liked how Amira was very, very independent. I think that's the first time I've really ever seen a main character be very, very dependent, and they're still trying to find out. Did I say dependent? Independent. Oh my gosh. I know that she's still trying to find out about what career she wants to do, but in herself, she is very, very reassuring and just really nice to read about, because in other books everybody's like, oh, I'm so innocent and like, oh, woe is me, I'm still trying to learn about life, and she is too, but it's like she's still very strong and well-minded, and I really, really appreciated that. In the end, I think it ended very, very realistically. Me and my aunt gave this 3.5 stars and my uncle gave it a 3 stars. So next we're going to be reading Transcendent Kingdom, so let's see if we like that book a little bit better. Now, the last book I read was The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the third and final installment in the Folk of the Air trilogy. The first book, The Cruel Prince, is what I'm going to be telling you about because I cannot tell you the synopsis of this book because that would be a spoiler. But the first book is about a girl named Jude, and a fairy comes and kills her parents. And that same fairy takes her and her sisters to the land of fairy, where Jude wants to become a part of the fairy court. But she can't really, it's kind of near impossible because fairies hate and despise humans. The amount of time I said fairy in that sentence is very annoying, but it's okay. If you have not seen my other vlogs, I read The Cruel Prince for the first time and where I read The Wicked King for the first time. I have not really felt connected to this series. I gave The Cruel Prince a 3 and The Wicked King a 4. And I just did not have high hopes for this book because everybody says The Wicked King was as best as the series got. And I 1000% disagree with that statement. This, I gave a 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. I was finally connected to the characters and the world, and I was just getting everything that I wanted that I wasn't getting from the beginning of the series. I'm not going to say too much because I also made a vlog with this book. I just thought it was only fitting because I made a vlog for the past 2 books. But if you were feeling like me, like you just weren't connected with the world and you felt like kind of meh by the second book and you were wondering if you wanted to continue, I think it's worth it. I really, truly, truly love The Queen of Nothing. One of my main things about it was that I don't like the political aspect being at the forefront of the story, and with this, I think we got an equal of everything, of romance, of the political aspect, family dynamics. So good! It was so good. I loved it so much. So that's all I'm going to say because y'all have to watch my vlog when that comes out, but thank you guys for watching. Those are all the books that I read in January. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, please comment down below, and do whatever you want to do, and goodbye.